Time now to drill down into the economy. Joining me is Mervin Jebaraj, Director of the Center for Business and Economic Research at the University of Arkansas, Walton College of Business. Mervin, I want to take an intentional look inside the Northwest economy with you this week. You just had your quarterly forecast. There's some great data that is in there. Let's begin with population growth. There has been a tremendous surge of newcomers in Northwest Arkansas, up 2.3% from just a year ago. What do we know about these folks? Are they retirees? Are they workers? Are we seeing just more births than deaths? Paint me a picture of this new population.
You're right about the tremendous population growth here in Northwest Arkansas, and all around us you can feel the effects of that population growth. Since about 2014, we've added about 12,000 people a year, so to look at it another way, that's about 1,000 people a month. And that's net increase in population, so we're looking at, that's the total of the difference between births and deaths and people coming and going. And about 70% of that 12,000 people population growth is actually people moving in. That's net in migration, people moving to Northwest Arkansas from other parts of the state, from other parts of the country, and from other countries as well. So all of those 12,000 people, 70%, we need to find new homes for all of these people. About 40% of that 70% moving into this region are coming from other counties in Arkansas itself. So other counties, we've looked at the population statistics. About 25 counties are growing in Arkansas. About 50 are losing population. So most of the rest of the state is sending people up here to Northwest Arkansas. That's where about 40% of the population growth is coming from. Another 25% is from surrounding states, Texas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. So a lot of people were pulling from those big metros around there. And about 10% is from what you would think about as the big coastal regions, California and Washington State and New York and all of these places. So most of the growth that we're seeing here in Northwest Arkansas really does come from other parts of the state and from the surrounding states, the big metropolitan areas and surrounding states. Just for perspective, about 200, 225 or so people moved into Benton County from Pope County, where Russellville is. Same number of people moved into Northwest Arkansas from LA County. So, there's just a lot more people moving here from the surrounding regions than we are seeing from, internationally or from the big coastal areas.
Regional gross domestic product grew a steady 3.4% year over year. I'm going to ask you the porridge scale for me. Was this too hot? Was this too cold? Was this just about right?
I think we'd have to say that this is just about right, considering the larger context of how the Northwest Arkansas economy is growing as it relates to both the state and the nation as a whole. So, we're having 4.2% growth rate in the second quarter of 2018, which is a very spectacular number. But we have to remember most of 2017, the growth rate was actually fairly tepid. 2017, the nation as a whole ended about 2.3% growth rate. So Northwest Arkansas doing 3.4 was well ahead of the nation and well ahead of the state as a whole. So when we look at the good mix of industries that we have here, Northwest Arkansas, obviously compared to ourselves, the growth was pretty good, but not as fast as we've had in previous years, like in 2014 and 15. So it slowed down a little bit, the change between 16 and 17. But nonetheless, still better than the nation, still better than the state as a whole. But when we compare ourselves to some of these peer regions that we're trying to measure against, like Austin in Texas and Provo in Utah, those places had much faster growth rates in their GDP. So we want to try to do the things that would get us to that level of growth rate here as well.
Median household income leaped 8.1% year over year. It's a huge gain there. What are some of the factors contributing to this, and what would you say we should watch for?
Well, I think when we think about what's going on with median household income, you saw that 8.1% increase, but it was so surprising that I actually had to call census and make sure that the number was correct. They assured me that it was. And the number is actually statistically significant, the difference between 2016 and 2017. So yes, that kind of growth rate in median household income, we've been trying to catch up to where the national median household income is. We're just shy of that, but we're still 20-30% lower than some of these peer regions that I've just mentioned, like Austin and Madison and Des Moines. So we have a lot more growing to do in the median household income picture. before we catch up to both the nation and some of our peer regions. The best we can tell is that in 2017 here in Northwest Arkansas, we saw some remarkable growth in professional business services. Those are your lawyers, your accountants, your engineers, fairly high-paying jobs. So a lot of them moving into this area and getting jobs in Northwest Arkansas through most of 2017. So that could contribute in part to the median household income jumping 8.1% in 1 year. Obviously, the corollary to all of that is that the poverty rate also declined here in Northwest Arkansas. It is certainly lower than the state. It is actually probably a little lower than the headline rate suggests, because we have a large proportion of college students, many of whom are actually not living necessarily at as modest an income as their statistics would show, because they're on their parents' dime and not their own.
Business establishments grew a healthy 3.1%. Do we know much about what kinds of businesses, Mervin? What are we seeing kind of emerge in all of this?
So we're seeing, a general growing economy that's not driven by finance or real estate here in Northwest Arkansas. So a lot of, as we mentioned, professional business services, just producing additional business services to, the big cluster of industries that we have here, whether it's university or retail or transportation or food processing. There's a whole bunch of suppliers to all of those different business communities that have set up shop here, and they're growing as well. And then all the people that supply services to them are growing as well. So you're seeing a lot of business establishment growth there. You're certainly seeing a lot of restaurants, breweries, and bars. Those types of business establishments are growing as well. So when we think about what parts or what businesses are growing, we've invested as a region a lot of resources from the university. There's the Small Business Technology Development Center, the Research Technology Park, the Brewer Entrepreneurship Hub, and several other places here at the university that promote entrepreneurship. There's Startup Junkie in Fayetteville, and there's Grit Studios in Bentonville, and all of these different entities work together to try to mentor new businesses, give them advice where they need it, and also, there are angel capital and venture capital funds available around here to invest in these businesses. We're still lacking some of those investment dollars to supply the businesses, and the university is working continuously on improving the pipeline of research that turns into businesses as well. So what we want to see, 3.1% was pretty good growth rate here in Northwest Arkansas, but we still want to see a lot more than that to try to catch us up to what similar regions in Provo and Utah have done, for example.
He's Mervin Jebaraj, Director of the Center for Business and Economic Research at the University of Arkansas Walton College of Business. Thank you, Mervin.
Thank you, Roby.
And thank you for watching today's program. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm Roby Brock. Have a busy and a productive week. See you next time.